So you probably have to hit the OK button. And so right now, we talk about crafting your transformation story. Now, your transformation story is essentially the story that you tell other people of a transformation that you went through. Now, this transformation story is basically is a series of events that have happened in your life, and it's the story that you tell, like whenever you go on stage, or whenever you're at a networking event, or or anything like that. Now, the length of your transformation story will vary depending on which where you're doing it. For an example, if you're on stage and you're giving a 1 hour talk, your transformation story could be like 5 to 7 minutes long. If you're at a networking event, it's going to be probably more like a 60 or 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes. Because most likely you're going to be telling that story over and over and over again. And what that story is basically how somebody gets to know you. It's how they actually start to identify with you. Okay. So when you're on stage and you're the guest speaker and you got a standing ovation going up on stage, and and you're lifted above the ground, that story you're going to be telling at the beginning or close to the beginning of your talk, and it's how people are going to relate to you. They're going to say, "I'm just like you." So the story has to be something. Even if you have gotten a lot more success and they're there to learn from you, you want to show them, "Hey, I'm just like you. I'm just a little bit further along." That's all that it is. It is going to be 5 parts to the transformation story. Now, it starts off by where you were before. I call this the new the old you. This is where you were before something happened. And everything may have been going great, or maybe things were going really, really bad. Like for example, you may say, maybe somebody that was homeless that's now a multimillionaire in real estate. You may talking about there's a time in my life where I was sleeping under a bridge. So the transformation story, something happened, or is the old you, is where you started from some time ago. Then what happens next is something devastating happened. You lost your job, you got divorced, you got fired, or something that happened that really knocked you down. And I call that part of your transformation story the plunge. That's where everything went negative, everything went south, and you hit rock bottom. Okay. So the reason you want to talk about this is because a lot of the people that you're talking to may be actually going through something very similar. So this is where the beginning part of your building your relationship with those other people. I'm going to move this over just in case. Um, so so once you hit the plunge, and then something happens. So you're just going to be going. The third step is that you're going to be going through an area of your life that is known as what I call the coast. So this is where you're just coasting along. Maybe you got fired from your job, as an example, and then you're now unemployed and you're just coasting. You're looking through new jobs, or you got a job but it wasn't the one that you dreamt of. So you're just coasting along. Now, I feel most people stay in that third area, in the coast area. But then the fourth thing happens. The fourth part of this 5 part process. The fourth one is that you hit some kind of transformation occurred. Maybe you invested in a seminar or a workshop that changed your whole outlook on life, or maybe you found that you started going to a dating sites and you found that perfect someone. So that's where a transformation occurs. Now, usually, after the transformation occurs, your value or what you see is going on in your life goes up significantly. And then that's what I call the new you. So the sixth part or the fifth part is what is the new you. So you go from, hey, this is where I was, something happened, I coasted along, I found something, a transformation, and it lifted me up, and then I went on. So I would give you an example of a transformation story. This is a story that I often will use on stage. And I would normally start off by saying, when I got out of college, I believed in the old adage of go to school, get good grades, and get a great job. And therefore, I fell victim to that whole idea of job security. And then one day I was decided to. I just finished up working a gig as a computer programmer, and I was a part-time, not part. I was a full-time employee for this company that did gig work. So I would work for different companies all the time. And my gig ended in June of this year, and I asked my boss if I could go ahead and take my 2 weeks vacation and go to. For me, it was go to stunt school, and stunt school was actually 3 weeks long. So I asked for an extra week because I was in between assignments, and he said, "Fine, I could do that." Shortly after coming back, he still couldn't find me any work. Like 2 or 3 weeks later, he couldn't find me any work. And he said, "Okay, Kevin, we're going to have to let you go. Oh, and by the way, since this is the middle of the year, you didn't earn that second week of vacation. So we're taking that out of your final paycheck. Oh, and that third week that you took off, we're taking that out of your final paycheck as well. So we're letting go with a zero severance package." So for me, that's where I lost all trust from working in corporate America. And I had no idea what I was going to do next. I mean, I started looking at ads in the newspaper, and I saw this one ad, and it seemed like a good ad. And they say, bring your resume and come down to our office at whatever day it was or whatever time it was. And what I found out that was actually an opportunity meeting for our network marketing company. And I had never thought about I could be an entrepreneur before. I always thought you had to be rich to be an entrepreneur. And but I liked the products that they were offering. I liked the services that they were providing. So I actually signed up. So that was my first time of being an entrepreneur. That's where I got bitten by the entrepreneurial bug. And that led me to getting into real estate. And that was 18 years of doing real estate consulting and being a realtor. And now I'm also a business coach, business consultant, and I've written 4 books. I've interviewed people from all over the world. So things are great right now. So again, that's an example of a transformation story. I was coasting along. I got fired. Excuse me, I was my old you got fired at the plunge. I was coasting along for a few weeks trying to find out what I was going to do. Found my first entrepreneur gig, and that's when I realized, hey, I can be an entrepreneur. And that took me to my new you. Now, does that make sense to you? And what I'd like for you guys to do, since this is a shorter class, and there's only 2 of y'all here, I would have liked, and I could always pause the recording, for you guys to start looking at. Okay, no worries. I would like to hear an example of a transformational story for you guys, or at least start writing down some of the ideas of what you could put into yours. And I know Gabrielle has to go a little bit early. I'm going to pause the recording so that you guys can be as authentic as y'all want to be. So anyway, let's go and talk about what the transformation story does. It does 2 things. The first thing that it does is actually it's going to make you show that you are human or that you are relatable. Okay. And what that means is that's going to affect the right side of the brain. That's going to affect the emotional side of the brain. The second thing that the transformation story does is shows that you are the expert, you are the professional. So that's going to affect the left side of the brain, which is the logical side of the brain. So by you saying the transformation that you went through, and you're talking about the logical part to your whoever you're networking with or you're on stage with, that's going to show that you are the one that they should contact, and you're going to be the expert in that field. So that is why you want to have that transformation story, and you always want to be prepared to give it. Okay. Now let's go into the second part of this course of this training today, and this is part of the client lifecycle marketing system that we're going to be talking about, which was the name of this event. And this basically says that whenever you are doing or running your business, there's going to be 3 different phases in your business. And each of those 3 phases, you're going to have 3 additional stages in each phase. Now, the reason that you're going to be wanting this is that whenever you're running a business, one of the things that you're going to probably realize at some point in time is not everybody that you think about in the world that you want to work with is going to be a raving fan. Not everybody's going to be doing business with you. They're going to fall out at different stages in your business, in your sales process. The thing is, you want to know where they're falling out. This is known as your attrition rate. Okay. So by knowing where they're falling out, at which stage they're falling out, that will cause you to be able to actually focus more on what, where they're falling out at, so you can actually focus on actually closing up that hole. Because maybe it's because you didn't send, you're not sending them emails, or wherever it is. So let's go and talk about the first phase, and then we'll talk about the first three stages. The first phase is known as find, F-I-N-D, find. Now, what I mean by find is that is where you're going to be finding your clients. This is going to be where your marketing is going to be is starting off at. This also involves in knowing who you're wanting to attract, and then setting a plan as to how to locate and capture these people. Now, the first thing you have to do is you have to get very clear on who you want to work with. This is part of this is where your lead generation phase is going to be. And you may want to do this also online, in person, and also from the stage or any other place where that potential client is going to reside. Now, the person that you're going to be looking to attract, some people call it your avatar, some people call it your ideal client. When I do my training and my coaching and consulting, I call it your specific audience. Okay. The reason being, if you're not specific enough, you're going to not be able to generate the right people. So I'd rather use the word specific because it reminds you to be specific.
Right.
Now, your specific audience, they could have different characteristics. You may want to target, say, people of males or females. So gender might be one of the areas that you want to focus on. Another one could be their age. Does what you provide, does it affect people at different ages differently? Like, for an example, if you're an insurance agent and you want to sell somebody a life policy, and the person's 92 years old, it's going to be different than a 21-year-old.
Right.
So again, you definitely want to make sure that you are focusing on the right people. Other things could be their level of income. You would not be marketing your, hey, buy this new jet airplane to a homeless person. So the level of income is also going to be things that you want to take a close look at, as well as maybe even their education. What you sell to somebody that's a PhD is different than probably somebody that's a high school dropout. So you want to make sure you want to get very specific into who your ideal client or your specific audience person is. Now, one of the things I have realized is that maybe if you have a little bit more of a broad group of people, is to maybe actually break them down more specifically and just have more than one specific audience. Like, you may have a specific audience that are just for men, another one just for women, maybe one just for people that are divorced, another one for widows. So you can have multiple specific audiences. And the reason I want to harp on that is that the way that you advertise and market it to someone is going to be different. And age is one of the easiest ones to talk about. How you market to a millennial is definitely different how you market to a baby boomer. They have different terminology, they have different lingo. Now, another thing you also wanted to look at, another aspect of your specific audience, is also what I call the self-defined labels. These are labels that people give to themselves. Now, it may be labels that you give them as well, but a lot of people will identify with their own self-defined labels. As an example, somebody say, well, I'm white, or I'm black, or I'm Hispanic, or I'm Asian, or I'm green. Maybe their race is one of the things that they identify with. Their nationality would be another one. Hey, I'm American, I'm Canadian, I'm Russian, I'm Cuban. So their nationality is something how they would define themselves. Their sexuality could be one as well. I'm straight, I'm homosexual, I'm gay, lesbian, I'm queer, or something along those lines. So these are, so you want to look at the self-defined labels, because those are going to be the words that you're going to be using in your advertising and marketing. So that's all part of the find stage, or the find phase. So I'm going to go ahead and break the phase into the three stages. So the first part of the find phase is what I call stage one, which is called target. So we've been talking about that already. This is determining exactly who your specific audience is and the specific problem that you will be solving. And what problem are you solving? Now, many people may have, depending on your business, may have slightly different problems, and that's perfectly okay. You just have to figure out what problems do they have. That way, I can start targeting those right people. The next stage or in the fine phase is called attract. Or stage 2 is attract. So by understanding your client's target, then you need to create a campaign that is designed to attract them to you. So one of the things you may have to start to figure out is, where do they hang out? Well, are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram? Are they going to be on LinkedIn? If you're using social media, which platform are they hanging out at? So that way you can create the right ads. If you're trying to meet somebody in person, like the lady with the bookstore, she would not. She would most likely go to places where Christians hang out. If she's selling Christian books, she's not going to go hang out at a synagogue or Jewish or those kinds of places. And where do they hang out? This also could be when you go to networking events, or if you join the Chamber of Commerce. And then the next stage in the phase cycle is known as capture. So you can see these are each baby steps. You're trying to figure out stage 1 is choose the target. How are you going to attract them, which that's going to be your marketing and advertising. And then stage number 3 is, how do you capture their name and emails? Do you use landing pages? Do you have a CRM? If you don't have a CRM, I would strongly suggest you start using one. Because by capturing their name is how you're going to be able to start to market to them directly. Now you got to realize at this point they have not bought from you yet. They're actually just at this phase. They're just starting to find out who you are. Okay, so I want to make sure that when we're talking about this client lifecycle system, that these are all just little baby steps along that process, along that path. So when you are using a CRM, one of the things that you definitely want to keep in mind is how powerful is that CRM? There are free ones out there, like there's one out there that's called MailChimp. A lot of new business owners start off with one like MailChimp. I use one that's called Keep. Now, those of you that's been in business for a while, Keep is actually just a rebranded of another business or another company, or the same company, but it had a different name, called Infusionsoft. Infusionsoft switched over to Keep. Now, Keep is a very powerful CRM. It has landing pages, it has checkout forms, it has a wide range of other things. And the thing is, whenever they go to your landing page, how are you going to capture that name? How are you going to put them into your pipeline, into your funnel? Now, going back to the track phase, one of the things that you may also want to think about in that phase is maybe coming up with stuff that is free, that you can give them away for free. These are often known as a lead magnet. So a lead magnet is typically some kind of form, some kind of PDF, some kind of spreadsheet, something that you can give away for free in exchange for their name and email. Now, when you're in the capture phase, one of the things you definitely want to do is remember that old adage that less is more. And what I mean by that is the less information that you ask for them to provide to you, the more likely they're going to give you that information. For an example, if you're going to give away a free lead magnet, I want to know your first name, last name, date of birth, mother's maiden name, email address, your social security number, your and all of that. Most likely, they're not going to fill it out. But if you're asking them what is their email, you're not even asking for the first name. That's going to be the simplest. I would most likely recommend not to go more than first name email. The reason being is that when you're contacting them by email and you're using a good autoresponder, which is part of the email system that you're going to be getting, or the CRM that you're going to be getting, personalizing the email goes a long way. For an example, have you ever got an email that says hello, comma, and then it just starts, then it just starts going to the content versus hello Kevin, comma, and then it goes into content. Having the name in there to me shows that it's actually a little bit more bona fide. Not always, but it gives that sense of well-being. Because one thing that people like to hear the most is their name. So you want to keep that in that capture phase. If you want to ask for first name, last name, email, you can, but I would strongly suggest the less that you ask for, the more likely you're going to be able to capture their name.
Right.
So now that will take us into the second phase. The second phase is called convert. And convert is how do you convert that potential client into now an actual client. So the first stage in that one, this is going to be stage number 4, is known as engage. Now, this is when you're going to be engaging with your clients, either by phone call, by text message, or by email. So how are you staying engaged with your client? Now, it has been said that it takes between 5 to 7 touch points before somebody will make a purchase from you. So that basically means if you say, let me send you this, I gave them this lead magnet that got them onto my mailing list, and I sent them one email, why are they not buying my car? It's because you weren't you weren't engaging enough. And this is often where a lot of your attrition falls out, is you get a huge email list, but you don't engage that email list, and then therefore you don't get any sales. So this is probably one of the first areas of attrition once they get to know who you are. Now, whenever you are doing the engaging part, oops, you want to be intentional in your conversations. You don't want to be spamming everybody. By sending like an email like, "Hey, I got this new product today," and then tomorrow, "Oh, I got this second new product. Oh, I got the next new product." Don't overwhelm them with just trying to sell them something. Now, if you're engaging on social media, it has been said that 75% of the stuff that you do on social media should be just engages. Is no selling, and then 20 to 25% is selling. So you want to have relevant emails going to them, maybe like a reminders or things along those lines. Now, in the engagement side, this is also where your transformational story will come in, which is why we covered this earlier. And the thing is, they may hear your transformation story more than once. Believe me, some of the people that I follow, I hear their story over and to the point where I can actually tell their story for them. Because the thing is, once they hear that story, they'll be reminded of what you went through. So that's why you want to engage with your transformation story at this point in time. Another thing during the engage phase is going to be when you have, this could also be when you're having your workshops, your webinars, your free trainings, like this course right here. Okay, so this is all part of your engage style. Remember, at this point in time, they have not bought anything from you. The next stage, then, stage 5, is when you make an offer. This is where you're going to be pricing your products, your services, or your programs. This is also, like we say, it could be also part of your sales funnel. And this is going to be at the very first stage of your sales funnel. So if nobody's buying from you and you're not making any offers, there's a very good reason that they're not buying from you.
Right.
Also, this is where you can also this could be where your landing pages are as well. So if they're going through your lead magnet and they go to the next step of your sales process, it could be say, "Hey, buy this low dollar $37 item," which is known as a tripwire. So now you're getting a small financial engagement, and that'll be the first offer that you give to them. And then if they buy from you, buy that tripwire from you, then you can have another item for sale that's going to be even more expensive. That's part of the sales funnel. Okay, so this will move us into the next stage. The next stage is when you close them. Is when the transaction actually occurs. Would you believe that not everybody buys something that's offered to them?
I definitely believe that.
So anybody that's been in any kind of sales knows that just because you make an offer doesn't mean you're going to get the sale.
Right. Always a
Okay,
numbers
so
game.
I'm sorry.
There's always a numbers game.
It's always a numbers game. That is correct. So this is where the close would be when you do a lead magnet. You capture their name, you take them to a tripwire, and they actually bought from you that first step. Now they bought in at the low end, and you can keep going up and up and up. Um, so for an example, let's say that you are an insurance agent. And you're going to offer a service as your lead magnet. Maybe call this a free consultation.
Mhm.
You hear insurance people, attorneys all do free consultation, a free initial consultation. And then you may say, hey, I'm going to sell you this. I want to sell you this life insurance policy. Or if you like the attorney and you're going to go through, say you're going through bankruptcy or you're going through something that needs some legal stuff, then you may be willing to go ahead and pay the retainer.
Right.
And the thing is, while you're doing all of this, you want to be showing value at every step at this point. Because it's not about you anymore. It's all about them. And well, how you are the ideal person that would take them on their journey that you want them to go on. Okay. So once they've actually gone through those first two phases, remember phase one was find what was target, attract, and capture. Then they moved into phase two where you actually are converting them. That's when you're going to be engaging them. That's when you're going to be making an offer, and then that's when you're going to be closing. Now we're going to move into the third phase. The third phase is to satisfy them or just satisfy. Okay. The first stage in the satisfy stage or in satisfy stage is called deliver. How do you deliver your programs, products, and services to your now client or customer, depending on how you look at it? For an example, if they're buying an insurance policy from you and you've closed them, they gave the credit card number and you charged them whatever it's going to be. How do you deliver the product to them? Is it going to be like say you're going to mail it to them in the mail? Are they buying a tangible item like a book? Or if you're providing a service, how are you going to start doing that? How are you going to start delivering that service? Another example, I say with an attorney, you're like, okay, now let's just start drawing it, whatever that needs to be drawn up. Now, maybe it's a will, maybe it's a lawsuit, maybe, whatever it is. How are you going to start delivering that product? Now, for an example, one of the things that I do is that I offer online courses. Okay, so for an example, if you were to go to my website and say, I like this course, and you hit the purchase item, and it will go directly to a checkout form. Once you put in your name, credit card information, and other relevant data, that's going to actually go ahead and charge your card. Well, then at that point in time in my CRM, I'm actually when that credit card clears, I tag you with a tag. That releases that online course for you. So within a second of buying that course, you're getting an email from me saying, "Congratulations, you just bought ABC course." So mine is because if I did not do it that way, if I say, well, I have to do this manually, you charge the credit card. Well, I got a text, and I'm not living when next time I'm on my computer, I tag you, which could be 24 hours from now. That is not a very reliable system.
Right.
So you always have to look at how are you being delivered. Now I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent here. Do you think that getting something delivered to you immediately is 100% always the right thing?
Not all the time. I think it's the best, but I think there are situations where kind of that what you call it? Uh, what's the word I'm
Dynamic,
looking for? Like the
like the lifetime?
procrastination. Yeah, like you kind of build up the want for it because you're waiting for it, you know? So
Yes, for an example, if you're buying something that's brand new, that's being delivered, and it's like and you deliver the anticipation, or even say if you can do a workshop. At the time of this recording, I've got a workshop coming up in 3 weeks. If you bought that workshop, it's not starting right now. It's not starting immediately. It's starting in 3 weeks. So
Right.
there is going to be a lag time. Now, there's also going to be other times, especially when you're dealing with tangibles, that at the lag time, you may actually want the lag time to be actually longer or even as long as possible. For an example, let's say you went to a house builder and it says, and you say, I want to buy this, I want to buy this house, and it hasn't been built yet, and I want it built in the next hour. Like,
Right.
you don't want that to happen. So
Yeah.
take your time. Give me a month. Give me 2 months. I want it to be done right. So not
Right.
all. So how when you're thinking of a deliverable, you got to look at what is it that you're going to be delivering, and then pick the appropriate time. A lot of the times they do want it immediately. For an example, let's say in this day and age, people buy stuff on Amazon. And there's quite a few times they will say, if you order by 7 p.m. tonight, it will be at your door tomorrow morning,
Yes, I love
because
that.
it's actually warehoused in your local city. So
Yeah.
in other times it's going to take 2 weeks to get there. Maybe you're ordering something in the United States and it's coming from China. So it
Right.
has to take time to get to you. So you always when you're looking at your deliverable at this stage, you have to look at what is considered a good delivery time, short or long. Okay. So that will take us into the next stage. That's going to be impress. Stage 8 is impress. That is actually building the wow factor. Like you were just talking about the anticipation. It's
Yeah,
also
that's the
about
word I couldn't.
how it is. Well, it's also about the quality as well. If you're buying a knockoff DVD and it has low quality, and you pay 35 cents for it, well, you kind of got what you were getting. But if the thing
Right.
is somebody actually bought this and you over delivered, as they often say, you want to under promise and over deliver. So you want to build that wow factor.
Right.
Um, so, so for an example, one of the things that I have done in the past, I've got a book. My fourth book is called "Launch the A to Z in Creating a Successful Business." Now, I have this that if you sign up for one of our webinars that we have right now on Thursdays, if you sign up for one of our webinars, you get a free copy of my book, Launch the A to Z in Creating a Successful Business. Now, this is an ebook, and the book is close to 460 pages long, so it's not a light read, but it is something that will give a lot of value because you're getting this ebook for free, and it's not like some little 10-page lead magazine. It's an actual book. So
Right.
that will give value. Like, hey, you attended the webinar, you stayed all the way to the end. Here's a bonus, and as a way of saying thank you. Now, I sell that book for $29.95 online all the time. The
Yeah.
ebook is like a $14.95.
Wow.
So that's one of the things that I do. Now, you can also, whenever you're going to impress, I mentioned at the beginning of this call that I've got a workshop coming up, and I'm giving a huge discount of that workshop. One of the other things that I'm doing, and I talk about this on my webinars, is that if you go ahead and buy and sign up and buy that workshop right now, guess what? Only say you can bring a guest for free.
Hmm.
So now you're getting two for the price of one.
Right.
Now the workshop is normally $795. I'm selling it for $97. And I said, go to our website, the optimalperformanceacademy.org/BKW97, and then go in and put in your information. And then guess what? Whenever your credit card clears, which should be almost immediately, you're going to get an email that says, "Congratulations for signing up." And by the way, just click on this link to enroll your friend into the workshop as well, and they'll get the notifications. Oh, and I also say, and please let them know because I said I will be sending it in 30 minutes because so you can let them know that they're getting that email from me so they just don't delete it, or even worse, unsubscribe. Because if they unsubscribe, they won't get the codes to get into the workshop.
Right.
So that's part of the impress. Now we're going to move into the ninth stage. This is the last stage, and it's known as multiply. And this is where in my opinion, 90% of businesses fail.
Mm.
Because this is where you said, "Hey, do you have any referrals that you want to send to my way? Or could you please leave some feedback?"
Right.
So most people fail on this stage because, especially with small business owner, especially if they're suffering from something known as imposter syndrome, they don't want to ask for the referral because they feel like I may be not good enough.
Mm.
The thing is, if you did your job correctly and you impressed that person and they were actually impressed, why would I not refer somebody to you?
Right.
So that's how you multiply your business, is to ask for the referral, ask for the testimonial.
Mhm.
One of the
That's
best
what I
things that you
gotta
can
do.
have are some good testimonials.
Yeah.
And you know what you can do with those testimonials? You can use them in your advertising campaigns.
Right.
If you do it in a 1 hour workshop and you're selling it, let's say you're a coaching or consulting business, and you've got 6 great referrals or testimonials or even referrals, you can put that on the overhead slide. And this is what Sonia had to say. She said blah 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 blah. And make
Right.
sure those are honest. Those are honest testimonials. Don't go out there
Yeah.
and make fake ones.
I gotta get better at that. I always ask for referrals because that's free leads and free clients. But
Exactly.
I always
And
forget to ask for testimonials and reviews.
And that's a good thing, because the thing is, if you help the guy named Bob, to whoever the process through, and Bob, it's, Sonia did a great job, and Bob then recommends Sally. Well, that's, he's like one of your number 1 fans.
Right. Yeah.
And guess what? You can use it on your website. You can use it
Right.
in your marketing campaigns. Now, on a side note about asking for referrals, the one thing I've always done when I've asked for referrals, like, how do you want your name to be displayed? Do you want it to be Sonia B? Do you want to be Sonia Bogart? Assume that's your last name, or do you want to be S Bogart, or how do you
Yep.
want your name to appear? And I will honor your request,
Okay.
because some people don't may not want to have their full last name known.
Right. Right. That's a
One of
good
the
tip.
testimonials that I use is from a woman by the name of Svetlana. She's of Russian heritage, but I knew her back in Las Vegas. I use her, and I only use Svetlana. Now her last name has changed since I got the testimonial from her, because she's gotten married. But
Mm.
the thing is, I still just say, I just use the first name.
Right.
So, and again, it is an honest testimonial.
Yep.
So do a quick review. Let's talk about the phases and stages again. We got phase 1, which is find, which that includes targeting your client and finding out who they are, how you're going to attract them, and then when you do attract them, how do you capture their names? Phase 2 is like, how do you convert? And now that you've got their names, how do you convert them? This will be, how do you stay engaged with them? Then you make an offer, and then you close. If you see a high attrition between offer and close, meaning that they fall out there, then that may be something. How are you doing your offer, or how much are you offering, or are you giving enough value?
Mm.
Okay.
Right.
Then when they do close, we move into phase 3, is the satisfied phase. How do you deliver your product or services or programs? How do you impress them? And then the referrals, the multiply. So you can see that this is a fairly basic overview of the sales process. But the thing is, now if you start seeing, hey, I'm targeting my clients, but I'm just not attracting anybody, well, then you're probably not using the right language. So
Yeah.
if your attrition is there, then you need to know, I need to work on my marketing campaigns. And one of the things I would strongly suggest that you and anybody does is, whenever you're creating a marketing campaign, have at least 2 versions of it running at the same time.
Mm.
Now, they could be, don't make them exactly the same, but make them slightly different.
Let's see which
That
one
way,
works.
it's called beta testing. Right now, I have campaigns that I'm running on LinkedIn where I'm looking for my ideal clients, and I'm actually have I have these. This is my specific audience that I want to target. So they're going to get 1 of 3 different messages. So I'm doing a 3-way beta test. If I
Right.
saw, hey, one has a 25% response rate, one has a 32% response rate, and one has a 3% response rate, guess what?
You know which
Test
one to get rid
test
of.
3 has to be changed. But the thing is, if I just ran test 3 all by itself, I would never know. But by
Right.
having multiple ones going on, you want to test. Another way to test things, and this is all about the attract and capture, because the test would be, one of the tests could be, you're running a Facebook ad and you have two versions of that Facebook ad to see which one attracts the most clients. That's going to be you'll be determined by the clicks. The next going to be is how many people clicked. Let's say 37 people clicked and you got 3 emails. Guess what? Your capture sucks. So then you test your capture. This could be your landing page. Do you do a short form landing page or a long form landing page? Do you use a blue button or a red button? I mean, it's always about the testing and always having two versions going at the same time. And then once you capture their names, of course, now you're going to start sending out emails. What's going to be the content of your emails? Now, some of your emails are going to be auto-generated. That's going to be with your CRM. Like when they sign up for something, you're probably going to be sending an email of how they actually get that product delivered to them. Is it emailed? Is it going to be mailed? Or is it going to be a phone call? Is it going to be setting up an appointment? Is it going to be, whatever that it's going to be? And then, of course, at some point in time, you definitely want to make an offer and an offer that you can close on. Now, as you can see, the attrition could be anywhere in there. And by breaking it down into these 9 different stages, you can see like where are they falling out, and that's where you can focus on.
Right.
Now you may notice that, hey, my capture sucks, and then once you get the capture, I'm like, oh gosh, my engagement now sucks. So it may be a multi-task process, because if people are falling out at one stage, then you don't know what's going to be happening in the later stages.
Right. Take it one phase at a time.
Take one stage at a time. Absolutely. Now that is the client lifecycle marketing system.
Okay.
Basically, in a nutshell, it's a fairly simple process, but I think by understanding your transformation story as well as this life cycle, you can actually start really working on your business and really building your business to be a lot more successful.
Yeah, because I want to get out of having to buy leads, and after you exhaust your warm market, you got to be able to attract people. And I have a pretty good following on, social media, but I don't have a good conversion rate. So this was definitely good. I have a powerful CRM that I don't really use because I'm so busy doing other stuff with training agents and stuff. But I need to get on top of my campaigns, and the beta testing is something that I don't do either. If I run a campaign, I do it one way. If it don't work, I just do a completely different campaign. So like you said, doing 2 different versions is awesome. And I can test it out on each social media, because I got Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok and LinkedIn. Just starting to do more engaging with LinkedIn, because that's like kind of new to me. It's different from Facebook and Instagram. But I like it because it is professional. Everyone up there is, either looking for work or trying to hire you. So yeah.
Well, LinkedIn is a great platform. It's one that I'm mostly focused on right now because I'm looking for other entrepreneurs and
Right.
advertising on Facebook. I mean, 2/3 of the people on Facebook are not entrepreneurs.
Exactly. Yeah. So I gotta focus
To me,
on
I'm wasting my time there.
my target market, my specific market. Yeah. That's